Have you ever considered that the most profound stories are not always found in books, but etched into the lines of a loved one's face? Today, I want to tell you about Evander, a man weathered by time, much like the ancient oak that stood sentinel in his sprawling Louisiana yard. Evander wasn't a man of grand pronouncements or sweeping gestures. His wisdom was a slow burn, a quiet simmer revealed in the gentle cadence of his voice and the knowing glint in his eye. For 86 years, he'd woven a life of quiet purpose, raising a family, tending his land, and collecting stories like precious stones. But lately, Evander felt a disquiet settle in his bones. The oak in his yard, a constant companion for over a century, was showing signs of decline. Its leaves were thinning, its branches brittle, and in that oak's slow surrender, Evander saw a reflection of his own mortality. He found himself revisiting moments from his past, not with fondness, but with a nagging sense of incompleteness. Unresolved arguments, unspoken words, opportunities missed, they were all swirling around him like autumn leaves caught in a sudden gust. His granddaughter, Lyra, a bright-eyed college student with a thirst for stories, noticed a change in him. She saw the shadows that flickered across his face, the way his gaze would drift off into the distance. One sweltering afternoon, she found him sitting beneath the ailing oak, his brow furrowed with worry. "Grandpa," she said. Gently, "What's troubling you?" Evander looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of love and regret. "Lyra, child," he sighed, "I've lived a long life, but it feels like I've left a lot unfinished, like a story with no ending." Lyra sat beside him, taking his hand in hers. "What kind of story, Grandpa?" He paused, considering his words. "A story of forgiveness," he finally said, "and a story of chances not taken." He began to tell her about his younger brother, Cassian, a spirited artist who had left home decades ago after a heated argument with Evander over the family farm. Cassian had craved a life filled with color and creativity, while Evander had felt bound by duty to the land. They hadn't spoken since. The silence between them had stretched into years, a heavy blanket stifling any hope of reconciliation. He also confessed to a secret longing, a deep-seated regret for not pursuing his own passion for woodworking. As a young man, he dreamed of crafting intricate furniture, but the responsibilities of family and farm had always taken precedence. The dream had been buried, almost forgotten, beneath layers of obligation. As Evander spoke, Lyra listened intently, her heart aching for her grandfather. She saw the weight of his regrets, the burden he had carried for so long. She knew she couldn't magically erase his past, but she felt a fierce determination to help him find some measure of peace. "Grandpa," she said, "it's not too late to change the ending of your story. It's never too late." Lyra proposed a road trip. She had a break from college, and they could visit Cassian. Evander was hesitant. The thought of facing his brother, after all. These years filled him with anxiety. What if Cassian refused to see him? What if the old wounds were too deep to heal? Lyra, however, was persistent. She reminded him of the importance of forgiveness, not just for Cassian, but for himself. She spoke of the healing power of reconciliation, of the possibility of finding closure. Finally, Evander relented. The drive was long and filled with a hushed anticipation. As they approached Cassian's small art studio in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Evander's doubts resurfaced. He almost asked Lyra to turn back. But Lyra wouldn't let him. She gently guided him towards the studio, her hand resting on his arm. When Cassian opened the door, Evander was taken aback. His brother looked older, his hair thinner and whiter, but his eyes still held the same spark of creativity. The initial moments were awkward, filled with hesitant smiles and nervous small talk. But as they began to reminisce about their childhood, the years of silence seemed to melt away. They talked about their parents, their shared memories, and the dreams they had once held. Evander finally broached the subject of their argument, his voice trembling with emotion. "Cassian, I was wrong," he admitted. "I was too stubborn to see things from your point of view. I'm so sorry for the way I treated you." Cassian's eyes softened. "I was stubborn too, Evander," he replied. "We were both young and foolish. The important thing is that we're here now. They spent the next few days reconnecting, rediscovering the bond that had been forged in their youth. Evander learned about Cassian's life as an artist, his struggles and his triumphs. Cassian, in turn, learned about Evander's life on the farm, his joys and his regrets. Before they left, Cassian presented Evander with a small, intricately carved wooden box. "I know you always had a knack for woodworking," Cassian said with a smile. "I made this for you. Maybe it's not too late to pick up where you left off." Evander was deeply touched. The box was a symbol of reconciliation, a tangible representation of the forgiveness they had both found. When Evander and Lyra returned to Louisiana, a renewed sense of purpose filled the old man. He began to spend his days in his workshop, crafting beautiful pieces of furniture. His hands, once calloused from years of farm work, now moved with a newfound grace and precision. It was as though a dormant part of him had been awakened. He caught up old woodworking books. He watched videos online. He went to a woodworking shop in town and chatted with the owner, learning about new tools and techniques. The community that he found there was deeply satisfying for him. The owner of the shop became a friend and mentor. Learning from him felt invigorating. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the Louisiana landscape, Lyra found Evander sitting beneath the old oak, a contented smile on his face. The tree, though, still ailing, seemed to have a new lease on life. "Grandpa," she said, "you seem different." Evander looked at her, his eyes twinkling. "I am different, Lyra," he said. "I've learned that it's never too late to rewrite your story, to ask for forgiveness, to pursue your dreams, to find peace in the present moment." He paused, taking a deep breath. "And I've learned that the most important stories are not always the ones we tell, but the ones we live." Evander continued to create beautiful things, each piece imbued with a touch of his newfound peace. He passed on his skills to Lyra, sharing his knowledge and his passion. And as the old oak in his yard slowly surrendered to the elements, Evander found solace in the knowledge that his own story was far from over. It was a story of resilience, of forgiveness, and of the enduring power of love and connection. But life is full of gentle ironies. One day, a letter arrived. It was from Cassian's neighbor. Cassian had died peacefully in his sleep. It was sudden and unexpected. Evander was crestfallen. His brother was gone again, this time for good. Had he made the trip sooner? Had he forced himself to say something more while he had the chance? Could a week-long visit ever compensate for a lifetime of unspoken words? But then Evander looked at the wooden box. He picked it up and held it to his chest. He still had that. He had the forgiveness that they had both extended. He had the memories of their shared past together. He had that, and it would be enough. The next day, Evander made a change to his will. Everything he had would be split equally between Lyra and a foundation that would give grants to struggling artists who needed seed money to pursue their passion. Because of the lessons he learned with Cassian, he knew he had to do everything he could to make sure that everyone had an equal chance to live out their artistic dreams. And the oak tree? It lived on for another 18 months, a testament to perseverance, resilience, and hope. Evander visited it every day and told it stories of his youth, as if it were a long-lost friend. And when it finally fell one evening, amidst a torrential rainstorm, Evander cried. But then he smiled, knowing that the tree had lived a full life, just like him. What unfinished stories are you still carrying around? Is there a branch you need to extend, a healing moment you need to find? The time is never perfect, but the opportunity is always there, waiting for you to reach out and rewrite your ending.